I visited my cousin's cabin in northern Canada a few years ago. I was 34 at the time. I had just wrapped up a long work stretch, and I really needed a break. The cabin was cozy, surrounded by tall trees and a peaceful lake. I thought it would be a perfect getaway. On my first evening, after settling in, I opened the fridge for a drink. That's when I saw it. A handwritten list stuck to the door. The rules were strange. "Don't venture into the woods after dark," it read. "Always check the lake before sleeping." I laughed. It felt like a joke or some quirky family tradition. I shoved it aside and settled in for a quiet night. As the sun began to set, a chill settled in the air. I went outside to sit by the lake, watching the water ripple. Darkness crept in, and I started to hear odd sounds from the trees. Low thuds, maybe? I dismissed it, telling myself it was just the wind. Later, I got ready for bed. I stepped outside one last time, curious. I noticed some disturbed dirt around the cabin. My heart raced. It looked like something had been there. Then I spotted a broken fishing pole by the water. I felt a knot in my stomach. Something wasn't right. I rushed back inside and locked the door tight. I tried to convince myself it was nothing, but sleep wouldn't come. Every little noise made my heart race. Was it a deer? Maybe just owls? I lay there, staring at the ceiling, when I heard whispers drifting through the trees. My back felt cold. I wiped the sweat from my brow. Was I losing it? Was it my stressful work? I didn't know, but I felt scared. When morning came, sunbeams cut through the window. I went to grab coffee and noticed the rule list was gone. I searched everywhere, but it had vanished. Panic gripped me. Had something happened during the night? Had I ignored a warning? I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd crossed a line. I tried to distract myself throughout the day. I went for a walk and fished a bit, but unease hung over me. I couldn't shake the dread that I had disturbed something. With each hour, the urge to leave grew stronger. The forest seemed to watch me. Did I anger something lurking out there? As darkness rolled in again, my stomach lurched. I was back by the lake when I heard those whispers again. They were closer now. I felt my heart racing. I turned my head to listen, but there was nothing there. The trees looked still, but the air felt heavy. I took a deep breath and started back towards the cabin. That's when I saw it. A shape just beyond the tree line. My blood turned cold. It stood watching me. I was frozen. I think I was about to learn just how serious those rules really were. I couldn't move. My eyes locked onto that shape, half hidden among the trees. It was tall and dark, too still to be anything natural. A chill ran down my spine. I knew I should turn and run, but fear held me there like a weight. Then, as if sensing my gaze, the shape shifted slightly. I saw a glimpse of something pale, maybe a face? Panic surged through me. I turned on my heels and sprinted back to the cabin, my heart pounding in my chest. The whispers echoed in my ears, chasing me. I couldn't catch my breath as I fumbled with the lock. Inside, I slammed the door shut, gasping for air. I leaned against it, trying to calm down. What had I just seen? The darkness felt alive outside, pressing against the walls. I wanted to run, pack my things and leave, but a strange curiosity tugged at me. I grabbed my phone, praying for signal. Nothing. I was cut off from the outside world. The sound of the wind howling through the trees made my stomach clench again. I needed to know what was out there. Slowly, I moved to the window, peering through the curtain. The moonlight cast eerie shadows, twisting the branches into strange shapes. I held my breath, scanning the tree line. There was nothing, just darkness. Maybe I had imagined it. But then I saw it again. The shape was close now, just standing there, watching. I stumbled back, my heart racing anew. What was it? I could feel my resolve crumbling. I grabbed a flashlight from the table and switched it on, the beam cutting through the shadows. I took a deep breath and opened the door a crack. "Hello?" I called out, my voice shaking. Silence responded. I hesitated, the hair on my arms standing erect. Then I stepped outside, flashlight in hand. As I moved closer to the tree line, I felt that suffocating weight again. I didn't want to, but I needed to. Maybe if I faced it, whatever it was, I'd be free of this dread. But as I approached, I noticed something strange on the ground. It looked like footprints, deep and large, leading into the forest. My mind raced. Had something come for me? A sudden rustling broke the stillness. I spun around, shining the light everywhere. Nothing, only the eerie quiet of the night. Weakness seeped into my legs. I wanted to turn back, but a foreboding instinct told me I had to see this through. I stepped back, but then, crack! A loud snap echoed through the trees. I whipped around just in time to catch movement. The shape was closer now, breaking free from the shadows. I felt the urge to scream, but my voice was trapped. That's when I noticed. Hanging from a branch was a tattered piece of cloth, swaying gently in the wind. It looked familiar. I stepped closer. It was covered in dirt, but there was no mistaking it. That was the same material as the fishing pole I'd found earlier. My stomach twisted as I realized the truth. Something had lived here before. Something I was never meant to disturb. Before I could process it, I felt a presence behind me. I turned slowly, and my flashlight illuminated the shape fully. My heart dropped. I knew this would not end well. My breath caught in my throat as the figure fully revealed itself. Towering over me, it seemed to absorb the light from my flashlight, casting a dark, menacing silhouette against the trees. I stumbled back, my mind racing. Was this the thing that had been watching me? A low, guttural growl vibrated through the air, sending a fresh wave of terror coursing through my veins. I turned and ran. There was no plan, just the desperate need to escape. My feet pounded the ground as I veered back toward the cabin, branches snagging at my clothes and hair. I could hear it behind me, moving swiftly, the whisper of its presence like the wind rushing past my ears. As I reached the cabin, I fumbled with the door, nearly slipping on the wooden steps. I shoved it shut with all my strength, locking it tight. Heart racing, I leaned against the door, breathless, trying to listen. Everything was quiet, except for the frantic hammering of my heart. I glanced around the dim room, my flashlight beam skimming across the walls, searching for something, anything, that could help me understand what I was dealing with. Now that I was inside, safety felt fleeting. I needed more than a door between me and whatever that creature was. Then I remembered the old book on the shelf, the one my uncle had left behind. Maybe it contained something about the woods, or the legends they held. I made my way to the small bookshelf, my fingers trembling as I sifted through the dusty volumes. That's when I noticed a door, a small one that led to a basement. My gut twisted. I hadn't seen that door before. I pulled it open, the dark stairway yawning in front of me like some deep, hungry abyss. My flashlight flickered as I steadied myself, the flickering beam betraying my dread. I was about to turn away when I heard it again, a low rumble, almost like a whisper creeping up from below. It was then that I realized the sound wasn't just in my head. It was coming from the basement. Some instinct kicked in, telling me not to go down there, but I felt the urge to unravel this mystery burning inside me. I grabbed the flashlight tighter and began descending the creaky steps. Each creak echoed ominously, threatening to give away my location. The basement smelled damp, the air thick and suffocating. As I reached the bottom, my light revealed walls lined with old photographs, hazy images of people I didn't recognize, some looking directly at the camera with unsettling expressions. Then I spotted something else on a wooden...
Again, I remembered snippets from the notebook in the basement, the warnings, the legends my uncle wrote about. I needed to think. If I could somehow piece together what I had read, maybe I could find a way to appease whatever dark force held this place. The creature shifted. Its patience was fading. I had seconds left. "What if I could leave? Would you let me go?" I called out, trying to buy time. No one leaves until the debt is paid. Fear crashed over me, drowning out any logic. I had to act fast. I stepped back slowly, trying to gauge its reaction, while my mind raced through the rules I had read. A sudden noise from outside made me jump. It was a low hum, reverberating through the cabin like a warning bell. The creature's eyes flicked toward the door. It was distracted. I took the opportunity, bolting for the back. The energy of the cabin felt charged now, as if the walls were alive with secrets and tension. I had to reach the entrance. But just as I touched the handle, the world around me tilted. The floor groaned underfoot, leaving me struggling to keep my footing. Everything went dark for a moment. I gasped as the cabin steadied itself, but the shadows pulsated around me, alive and restless. When I looked back, I saw it, the creature now closer, its jagged smile glowing. "You'll understand soon enough." And as darkness closed in, I realized I had unleashed something far worse. What had I trapped myself in? The darkness swallowed the cabin. For a heartbeat, I couldn't see anything. I blinked, barely able to process the shadows swirling around me. It felt like they were moving, whispering secrets I couldn't grasp. Then I heard it again, the low hum outside. It grew louder, resonating through the walls as if it were alive, intertwining with the very fabric of the cabin. In the thick darkness, I felt a sharp jolt. A sudden rush of adrenaline surged through me, snapping me into action. I couldn't stay frozen. I forced myself to take a step back from the door, then another, and turned my attention back to the symbols on the wall. They glimmered faintly, as if they sensed my panic and drew me in. Maybe they weren't just warnings. Maybe they were a way out, or a way to understand what was happening. I was grasping at straws, but I had to try. I shifted my flashlight toward the symbols. One of them, a jagged line with sharp angles, seemed to pulse more intensely as I focused on it. Something flickered deep within me. I remembered something from my uncle's notebook about sacrifices. I barely read those parts. My heart raced as I tried to piece it together. What would I have to give to appease this creature? Just then, I heard a crashing sound from outside, followed by a frantic rustling in the underbrush. It was too loud to ignore. Maybe it was a person. My hope flared, but doubt snatched it away. Whoever it was could be another victim or something worse. My throat tightened as the creature's laughter echoed in my ears. "It's not the outside that will save you," it sneered. "Nothing escapes its claim." I wanted to scream, but I forced myself to focus. I had to make a choice. Keeping my eyes on the creature, I stitched the words from my uncle's notebook back together in my mind. The rules spoke of balance, of offerings, of the blood that binds one to the land. What did I have to offer? Could it be anything? Then everything shifted again. The floor beneath me began to tremble. The walls seemed to close in. I rushed to the symbols again, tracing my fingers over them, desperate. If they held any power, I had to understand it. I felt the weight of the knife in my other hand, a cold reality. "What if," I murmured, "what if I could repay the debt?" "Foolish girl," the creature hissed, moving closer, shadows draping around it like a cloak. You have no idea what you're offering." "I have to try," I shouted, adrenaline mixing with fear. I raised the knife, trembling. The creature's eyes flashed with something. Was it interest or malice? Lines of the symbols glowed brighter, reacting to my offer. Then, in an instant, the buzzing noise outside exploded into chaos. I focused back on the door, where I saw a figure rushing toward the cabin. Relief crashed into me, but it quickly turned to dread as I saw who it was. My cousin. Poor, unsuspecting, naive. "Get back!" I screamed, fear clawing at my throat. But the cabin trembled louder, a powerful wave crashing through the walls. At that moment, I realized the true horror. This wasn't just about me anymore. The debt needed to be repaid, and my cousin's arrival might seal his fate, and mine. I stared at the door, my pulse quickening. "No, stay back!" I yelled, my voice hoarse and panicked. But he didn't stop. My cousin, with his wide eyes and carefree spirit, barreled through the threshold. As soon as he crossed the threshold, the hum outside intensified, as if it were alive, eager for new prey. "What's wrong?" he asked, breathless, his expression shifting from concern to confusion as the aura inside the cabin grew thick. I couldn't find the words. I felt like I was suffocating. "It's not safe here," I stammered, edging my way back toward the wall of symbols. The creature's laughter echoed in my head, a cruel reminder that I needed to act fast. I glanced back at the door, and the shadows swirled at the edges, hungry for my cousin. Just come with me," he said, stepping farther inside. But I knew it was too late. He had entered the clutch of the darkness, and every instinct screamed at me that it was a trap. The cabin shook again, rattling the walls, and making the air buzz with a low timbre that vibrated through my body. "You need to leave," I pleaded, my hands gripping the knife even tighter. Desperation clawed at me. I had to protect him, even if it meant sacrificing myself. "Why? What's happening?" He looked genuinely confused, glancing around as if searching for a sign of the danger I felt so deeply. Just then, the symbols I had been tracing with my fingers glimmered, pulling me back to the task at hand. They were ancient and beautiful, but I felt them shifting from mere decorations to living entities ready for activation. A chilling wind swept through the cabin, wrapping around my cousin. He shivered, his eyes darting back to me. "What do I do?" The creature's shadow flickered along the walls, twisting and contorting. "You cannot escape what you do not understand," it whispered, in a voice that sent chills down my spine. Then it dawned on me. "The offering!" I gasped. "He could be the answer, but I can't let it take him." My heart raced. The rules from the notebook said balance, but it felt like there was no other way out. I wrestled with the thought. Did I want a life for a life? The symbol I had been studying pulsed like a beating heart. Rage and hope collided in my chest. "Listen," I yelled at my cousin. "You have to trust me." I stepped back toward the symbol, brandishing the knife. "You need to help me break the cycle. We can fix this." "What do you mean?" he shouted, fear creeping into his voice. But the creature seemed to sense my shift. The shadows thickened, pouring from the corners of the room, coiling toward us like smoke. Just as I was about to explain everything, the flicker of the symbol erupted into blinding light. My cousin stood frozen, eyes wide. What is happening? And then, just as quickly, the light vanished, leaving only darkness. "No!" I cried, feeling the shadows swarm around my cousin. The cabin was alive now, pulsing with energy. I felt something slipping away from me, and it wasn't just the safety I craved. "Foolish girl," the creature hissed, its voice wrapping around me like a vine.
You are bound to this place now. There is no escape. That's when I realized it. I wasn't the one in control anymore. The shadows twisted into a dense mass, consuming the cabin's light. I could barely see my cousin's outline, but I sensed his panic radiating from him. "Get me out of here!" he shouted, his voice strained. It cut through the darkness like a knife. I wanted to reach for him, but something held me back. The air crackled with energy, and I felt tethered to the symbols carved into the walls. They pulsed in response to my fear and desperation, as if they were trying to remind me why I had come here in the first place. "I'm trying,"
I yelled, gripping the knife tighter. The low hum now echoed in a dreadful melody. I thought I recognized it, the sound rising and falling like a dark lullaby. "Stay away from him!" I screamed into the void, as the shadows surged closer, tightening their grip on our space. Then I saw it. A shape moved fluidly through the darkness, weaving like smoke. "You're too late," it whispered. The voice was smooth and sweet, a twisted mockery of comfort. "The cycle has begun." I forced myself to remember the rules from the notebook. Respect the boundaries. Make no offerings lightly. I desperately traced the lines of the nearest symbol with my fingers, hoping to invoke its forgotten power. But the cabin trembled, as if the very foundation disagreed. "Lila, what's happening?" My cousin's voice was frantic, almost drowning in the chaos. "What do you need me to do?" I took a deep breath, trying to center myself. "We have to reverse it," I said, my mind racing through fragments of what I had read. "You need to stand with me. We have to balance this." The creature laughed, a sound that sent icy fingers down my spine. "Balance? Such a naive idea. You don't even know what it demands." Dark shapes flickered at the edge of my vision. I felt their hungry gaze on us. "No! This is my fight!" I shouted, my voice powerful despite the fear curling in my gut. I stepped closer to the symbol, drawing my cousin to me. "We have to trust each other." He grabbed my hand, confusion blending with determination in his eyes. "Tell me!" I glanced at the symbols once more. One of them glowed faintly, a line connecting it directly to my cousin. "You were always meant to be part of this," I said, realization dawning on me. "You are linked to this darkness. We can break it." But before I could explain, the creature lunged forward, its shadowy arm reaching for my cousin. An icy grip wrapped around my heart. I yanked him closer, and with a wild swing, I brought the knife down onto the symbol. The blade met the wood with an explosive crack, bursting the silence like thunder. The cabin shuddered violently, and the walls screamed as the darkness started to peel away. But then the shadows issued a deafening wail, and all at once, everything imploded into blinding light. When my eyes adjusted, the cabin was gone. I found myself standing in a vast expanse of mist and uncertainty. My heart sank as I realized I had no idea where we were or what came next. "Lila?" My cousin's voice trembled. "What just happened?" I stared into the shifting fog, dread pooling in my stomach. "I don't know," I admitted. The darkness might have released us, but something told me it was not over yet. Then a figure emerged from the mist, and I felt my breath catch. Someone was waiting for us. The fog, trying to make sense of the form that stood before us. It was tall and cloaked, an outline shadowed by the thick mist. "Who are you?" I called out, my voice wavering. The figure stepped forward, revealing a face that didn't look familiar, but there was something unsettling about it, an unnatural stillness that made my skin prickle. "You've disrupted the balance," it said. The voice was soft, but carried an edge of authority, almost as if it belonged to someone who knew the ancient rules better than I did. "What do you want?" My cousin's voice was shaky, and I could feel his grip tightening around my arm. "Your actions have consequences," it replied, surveying us with piercing eyes. "You both opened a door that should have remained shut." Panic coursed through me. "We didn't mean to. We just wanted to save each other." The figure regarded us with a mix of pity and disdain. "Sacrifices must be made when the balance is disturbed. The darkness will come for you as it seeks to reclaim what is owed." "What do you mean?" I demanded. I had thought breaking the grip of darkness would mean we were safe. "The darkness you freed is part of the old ways, and it carries a debt. Until it is repaid, you are bound to its will." A cold shiver ran through me as the weight of its words settled like lead. My cousin elbowed me, whispering, "We have to go back. We can't let it take us." There was a desperation in his eyes that mirrored my own fear. "We don't even know how," I said, panic edging into my tone. I remembered the symbols from the cabin, how they pulsed and throbbed with energy. "Maybe we can do it again. Maybe we can reverse it." The figure's smile was cruel, accentuating its hollow cheeks. "You think returning is an option? You may escape for now, but the darkness has already claimed a part of you. It will hunt you relentlessly until it knows you are finally trapped." Suddenly, the mist began to swirl and pulse around us, the shadows creeping closer, whispering as they moved. I felt the ground tremble beneath my feet. "Come," the figure said, extending a hand. "Join me, and perhaps I can teach you how to navigate the shadows. You will need it to survive." "No!" my cousin shouted, pulling me back. "We can find another way." In that moment, the ground beneath us cracked open, sending a shudder through the thick fog. A roiling darkness spilled out, wrapping around our ankles. My heart raced. Then I spotted it. A glimmering symbol etched into the ground, glowing with the same faint light I had seen in the cabin. "That!" I pointed. "We can use that." But before I could reach for it, the mysterious figure closed the distance, its presence suffocating. "Don't be foolish. That mark binds you further to the darkness. What you seek is
Not salvation, but a trap." I stared at my cousin, weighing our options. "We have to try!" I shouted against the whispering shadows. His eyes widened, but he nodded. "Okay, let's do it." We lunged for the symbol together, but darkness surged around us, its old grip wanting to claim us once more. The figure's laughter echoed, chilling me to the bone. That's when I felt it, a strong pull, something deeply rooted in connection, anchoring us. I realized we weren't just fighting for ourselves anymore. The stakes were higher. As we reached the symbol, a shout resonated in my mind. I knew this would either save us or seal our fate. And in that moment, the darkness erupted, and the ground opened wide beneath our feet. I felt myself dropping. The ground seemed to vanish, and all sense of direction disappeared. I gasped, reaching for my cousin, but the darkness twisted and pulled us apart, each second stretching into eternity. Then there was light, a blinding white light that burst through the encroaching shadows. I hit the ground hard, rolling to the side. I blinked rapidly, trying to adjust. When the brightness faded, I realized I was in a different place. We were outside, in a clearing surrounded by towering trees. The thicket loomed above us like sentinels, their branches swaying in an unseen wind. But something was wrong. Everything had a dull gray tinge to it, as if color had fled this locale. "Are you okay?" I called out, panicking as I frantically searched for my cousin. My heart raced until I spotted him a few feet away, sitting up and shaking his head in disbelief. "What just happened?" His voice trembled. I started, but was cut off as the ground shook again. An ominous rumbling echoed through the trees. "We need to go," I said, scrambling to help pull him to his feet. "We can't stay here." But the moment we stood, something caught my eye. A path, faintly glowing beneath the shade of the leaves. It wound deeper into the forest, pulsing with the same energy I had seen in the symbol back at the cabin. "Look," I pointed toward it, adrenaline surging. "It leads somewhere." He hesitated, his gaze darting back to the trees. What if it's a trap? It's our only chance. Desperate to get moving, I grabbed his wrist and pulled him toward the path. As we ventured deeper, the shadows around us thinned, but the air grew thick with a different pressure. Whispers brushed against my ears, urgent and threatening. I could feel the darkness trailing behind us, waiting for an opportunity to reclaim what it lost. "What are they saying?" my cousin whispered, scanning the woods as if expecting something to jump out at us. "I don't know," I said, panic threading through my voice, "but we need to keep going." We raced down the path until it narrowed, leading us to a clearing that took my breath away. The center stood an ancient stone altar, covered in the same glowing symbols. It hummed with energy, the air crackling as if the very nature of reality was warping around it. Suddenly, I noticed a figure standing behind the altar, one that looked very much like the cloaked figure from before. My heart dropped. "Welcome home," it said, voice dripping with a terrifying familiarity. "You've come to make your offering." Before I could respond, shadows erupted around us, circling like hawks poised to strike. Fear paralyzed me, but something deep inside urged me to stand my ground. "I won't make any offering," I shouted back, ready to fight back. But the darkness curled closer, tendrils grasping for us, eager to pull us into its depths. Then, in that moment of defiance, I caught a glimpse of something behind the figure, a glowing glyph embedded in the stone. That was the answer I needed. For protection or for a way back, I didn't know yet. And just like that, shadows lunged at us once more, and I had to make a choice. Would we surrender to the darkness, or would we take a chance on the altar? The shadows closed in, but my breath steadied. I turned toward the glowing glyph on the altar, a sense of urgency igniting within me. "We have to try," I shouted, seizing my cousin's hand, my heart racing as I pulled him toward it. The cloaked figure laughed, each note intertwining with the darkness wrapping around our ankles, as if the very air taunted us. "You think you can defeat the darkness?" Ignoring the threat, I focused on the glyph. I could feel its energy pulsing, resonating with my desperation and fear. "It has to mean something," I spoke softly, conviction building with each word. "We must invoke it. It might protect us." My cousin hesitated, but in the depths of my focus, I sensed his resolve strengthening as well. "Okay," he whispered, gripping my hand tighter, as if to absorb my courage. In a burst of determination, I approached the altar, the shadows swirling dangerously around us. The glyph glimmered, inviting us to engage with it. But something deep within warned me. The shadows were alive, drawn to the light. As we reached the altar, I forced myself to study the glyph, brushing my palm against its surface. It felt warm, radiating an energy that thrummed in sync with my own heartbeat. Then I remembered the rituals my uncle had documented. Maybe if we chant something to restore balance? "Like what?" my cousin asked, panic edging into his voice. "Something about the rules," I shouted as the shadows constricted, hissing around us. "Lila!" he cried, pointing at the figure that had stepped closer. "No!" I yelled defiantly, pushing myself against the overwhelming fear. "This is our only chance." We looked at each other, our gazes steadying in the chaos. I closed my eyes, pulling from the fragmented memories of my uncle's writings, feeling the glyph's energy vibrate beneath my hand. "Listen to me, darkness! We don't belong to you!"
As those words left my lips, I felt the air crackle. The glyph flared to life, illuminating the encroaching shadows with fierce brilliance. My heart raced, a strange sense of power flowing through me. But I couldn't falter now. I needed to weave the words together. We stand to break your binding force. We offer no more. A powerful gust swept through the clearing, scattering the shadows momentarily and revealing the creature behind them. The figure's expression shifted, its smile faltering as if taken aback. "No!" it screeched, its voice burning with rage. Gaining momentum, I continued. "We demand balance in the name of all who came before." The glyph ignited, a heat soaring through me as I realized the power I wielded. I gripped my cousin's hand tighter, feeling his determination bolster mine. "Balance!" we shouted together, emboldened by an unseen force surging from the altar. The geometry of the glyph resonated, and the ground trembled as light burst forth, pushing against the darkness in a blinding wave. The cloaked figure recoiled, shadow tendrils snapping away, as the ethereal light emitted from us expanded, creating a ripple of energy that surged outward. "You are foolish!" it howled, asserting its will as shadows threatened to push back. But we pressed on, chanting louder, feeling the air vibrate around us. "In this name," we called out, hammering our fists against the altar in unison, "we break the cycle!" In a blinding flash, light consumed all, and with it came a deafening silence. Then the ground beneath us gave way, the very fabric separating darkness from light shredded as a portal opened, revealing swirling chaos. We were being pulled, an exhilarating rush of energy, a release from the binding shadows that wanted to claim us. I realized in that moment that the balance wasn't just an abstract notion. It was a thread weaving through the dimensions. "Go!" I screamed, knowing I had to endure with my cousin. "Run!" With every ounce of strength, I yanked us forward as we leapt into the chaos, leaving behind the darkness chasing us. Then, just as quickly as we'd been engulfed, we were expelled into the real world. My cousin and I landed hard on the damp forest floor, the fresh air filling our lungs. For a moment, we lay there, breathless and disoriented. Are we free?" he gasped, pushing himself up. With shaking hands, I looked around, the sun peeking through the trees, painting a warm, inviting aura around us. I exhaled deeply, relief flooding through me. But it felt too easy. "I think so," I murmured cautiously. "But I can't shake this feeling. We may have left something behind." As I took a deep breath, uncertainty crept back in. Was the darkness truly gone, or would it return when we least expected it? My gaze drifted upward, searching the treetops while my heart raced. The woods felt different, almost too quiet. Shadows flickered just beyond my sight, whispering secrets I couldn't understand. As a chill raced down my spine, I started to wonder if this was a final escape or merely the beginning of something new. "Let's get out of here," I finally said, my voice tinged with unease. As we stumbled away from the clearing, I couldn't help but glance back at the forest, every rustle echoing with untold tales. Whatever had happened, I knew the shadows may not be gone forever. They lingered just beneath the surface of reality, waiting for the next moment of weakness, waiting for us to return. And I had a sinking suspicion it wouldn't be the last time we'd be confronted by the darkness we had dared to disturb.